Welcome back. This is session 2 of the brick plug part. We're now going to add the plugs to the top of the part on this rectangular surface here that we had discussed in session 1. I'm going to square up the part. This is the section right here, the rectangle that we're going to put the plugs in. I'm going to pick it. I'm going to pick sketch. I'm going to pick rectangle. I know we're using the rectangle tool a lot. We'll get to some other tools a little bit later. Those are the two plugs, obviously. They are of different sizes. This is where you're going to learn how to use relations. I'm going to pick Smart Dimension. The thickness on these are a 1/16 or 0.0625. Now, we have the thickness on that one, which is good, and we have to add the thickness to this one. Now, I could dimension this, yes. That would be easy to do, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the display, delete relations. I'm going to click on add relations. You'll see this box here where it says select entities. I'm going to pick that side of the rectangle and that side of the rectangle. You'll see line 1 and line 7. That's line 1, that's line 7. Then down here I'm going to choose what I want to do. I could make them horizontal, I could make them vertical, I could make them all these things, but I want to make them equal. So this dimension from here to here is 0.0625, the same as this one. And you can see by the little equal sign that that's the case. Now, what does this do for us? We also have to hit that check mark to make sure it takes effect. What this does for us, since we didn't have to dimension it twice, if I double click on this and I decide to make this 0.09, it changes both of them. So I only have to change one dimension now. That makes it a lot easier down the road. Okay, so that's 1/16. I also want to do the same thing on the thickness. So let me hit Smart Dimension. I know that the thickness of that is 0.25. I'm going to do the same thing there by adding the relation. So I'm going to go add relation. I'm going to click that side and that side. I want them equal. Check mark, and there you go. Now, you can look at that and you can say, well, that's great, but why are they uneven? Well, let's use relations again and make them even. What I can do, and this is a different type of relation, I can go to relations. I'm going to get rid of this one, get rid of that one, and this time I'm going to pick the very middle circle or dot in each of them, and I'm going to say I want to make them horizontal. So if I click on horizontal, now they're perfectly horizontal. Click OK. Now what does that do for us? Well, first of all, it gets them exactly where we want them. Okay, but if I move one, it automatically moves the other, which is key because this is a plug and they have to be the exact same size apart. One dimension that I have to add, I want to add a dimension in between these because we know that these are a 1/2 inch apart. Okay, so there's the 1/2 inch apart. Okay, now we have to center them. We want to center those on this rectangular piece. Well, we just do that again by dimensions, the same as we've done before. I can take a smart dimension from here, which is the middle of that rectangle, to the side. I can bring that out. Now, we know what this should be. I want this right in the middle, which is 1/2 of this overall depth, and we know that's 0.437. But notice when I do that, it's also going to move this one. Why? Because we made those 2 points relational. It moved them both down. Now we also want a vertical dimension in there somewhere, or a vertical dimension, and we just happen to know that because I measured it, that from this point to this point it's 0.25. So if I click off there, those are my plugs, or the sketches of my plugs. Now I want to extrude them. Now, let me go back. The nice thing about these relations, again, is whenever I change any of these dimensions on this one, it automatically changes it here. And if I change any of these, relocating this rectangle, it automatically relocates that rectangle, which is pretty cool. All right, now I want to do the extrusion. So if I go to extrude, like I said before, our last default plug depth was 0.03125, which is what that is. Obviously we don't want that. We want that to be, I believe it's 0.5. And we'll hit OK. And there is our plugs. Now, that looks kind of weird, obviously. They're square. They don't have the little hole in them and all that. So, let's go back and do that. One of the easiest ways, like we did on the brick, is just by shaping it using the fillet command. So I'm going to use the fillet command. I'm on full preview so I can see what it's going to look like. I'm going to click that one. Now I can tell already that's going to be way too big, so I'm going to come down here and put this at 0.05. I can change it later. But those, all I got to do is touch those surfaces. I want to make those a little bit bigger. I can make it, I'm looking at 0.1. Yeah, 0.1 looks good. I'm just kind of going for a look at this point. All right, now I want to put that hole in the middle. So to put the hole in the middle, I want to sketch on this surface here. So I'm going to square it up again, bring in just that piece. I'm going to pick that. I'm going to say sketch in that surface. I'm going to pick circle this time. Now, one thing that I'm able to do is I can come up here and get the exact middle. You see that little box, that little orange box. That tells me the exact middle of this plug or this tab. So I've already lined it up. I don't have to put a dimension in there. I could bring it down a little bit, which I think I'm going to. I want to dimension that hole, which is 0.125. And I'm going to, like I just said, I'm going to bring it down a little bit. It's a little high. 0.125, we're going to go to 0.1875. That's a little bit better. Probably can be a little bit higher than that. Let's go 0.15. There we go. Okay, now I want to extrude that all the way through both of these. So I'm going to go to Features, Extruded Cut this time, and you'll notice, because of the last default, whatever that was, it already went all the way through. I can make that bigger if I want. Again, I can change directions. Don't want to do that though. I can make it longer, like that if I want to. I can do this just to make sure it goes all the way through, or I can click down here and say through all, which will then just go through, you know, it'll make sure it goes through all of whatever is there. I'm going to hit OK, and there is the plug. Now, what I want to go back and do though, I want to make this look a little bit neater, and I'm going to make those a little bit longer. They don't look long enough. So I'm going to put a little bit more radii on these, just to make them look better. I'm going to go 0.02. Let's see what that looks like. That's too much. I'm going to go 0.01 and go half of that. We'll click on that one. We're even going to go do the circles. And hit OK. And that makes them look a lot better. Now, I'm going to go back though right now, and I'm going to make these a little bit longer. I think I'm going to make them, well, maybe another 1/4 inch. To do that, I have to go back to where I extruded them, which happens to be this area. So if I go to the drop down, if I click on that, it says Edit Feature. Go to Edit Feature, and there it shows my extrusions. I'm at 0.5. I'm going to go 0.75. No, I'm not. I'm going to go 0.625 because that's actually what it is. I hit OK, and as you can see, it kept all my other features, no problem. All it did was added the extrusions. So there are the plugs. Okay, on session 3, we are going to add the wire.